How you doing, movie fans? Welcome back to The Potato, and I hope you're all doing very well. So, I am a pretty big fan of James Bond, and it's impressive how far this franchise has come since it was first introduced on the big screen with 1962's Dr. No. And with No Time to Die being the 25th official film in the franchise, the history of Bond hasn't always been a smooth one. And today, I would like to talk about the controversial and unofficial 1983 Bond film, Never Say Never Again, starring Sean Connery, and how it was even possible that this film got made in the first place. Let's take a look.
So in 1961, film producers Albert Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman formed a company that would become Eon Productions and acquire the rights to the very first Bond film, Dr. No. Since then, they never looked back, and have been responsible for producing all 25 of the official Bond films. But before Eon became the home of Bond, novelist and Bond creator Ian Fleming collaborated with two men, Kevin McClory and Jack Whittingham, on a script for a possible Bond film. The project was eventually abandoned due to high production costs. Fleming took the idea and turned it into his novel Thunderball, with no credit given to Whittingham or McClory. McClory would then turn around and sue Fleming in 1963 for plagiarism. The case would reach the High Court of London, and after 9 days, the two sides reached a settlement. As a result, all future versions of the novel would now be credited as based on a screen treatment by Kevin McClory, Jack Whittingham, and Ian Fleming, in that order. McClory was also given the film and television rights, and also awarded £35,000 plus court costs.
Now, I don't know what kind of evidence McClory had against Fleming, but it must have been big. Because for McClory to get his name in the book, the film and television rights to Thunderball, £35,000 and his court fees paid for, Ian Fleming's people must have looked at this and said, we should try to settle and give him all this because he could get a whole lot more. Ian Fleming, you up.
Wanting to still make Thunderball, Eon Productions struck a deal with McClory. In exchange for letting Eon make their version of Thunderball first, McClory would receive a production credit for the film and couldn't make his version until 10 years after its release. Fast forward to the mid-1970s, and now allowed to make his version, McClory started working on it, and throughout the production process brought in several writers to work on the script, along with Sean Connery as an advisor. Now remember, McClory only owns the rights to Thunderball. That's it. Anything within the book is fair game. He couldn't stray at all from the source material. Eon Productions overshadowed this like a hawk, and when they felt McClory might be stepping over the line in his script, they were quick to interfere and halt the production by bringing them to court. Now, it had been 12 long years since Connery last suited up as Bond in Diamonds Are Forever. So why did he agree to this film? There are multiple reports as to why. Some claim it was the $3 million plus a percentage of the profits and the freedom of having both script and casting approval. Some claim it was because he liked the story, which focused on a more grounded Bond who is starting to come to terms with the fact that he's getting older. And some claim Connery did the film out of spite and a way of giving the middle finger to Eon Productions because he wasn't happy with how they treated him. I think it's quite possible that it was all three. Warner Brothers would then step in to distribute the film, and in October of 1983, the remake of Thunderball, titled Never Say Never Again, was released. The title originated from Connery's wife, after he told her he would never play Bond again, and she told him, never say never. That very same year, though, only 4 months prior, the official Bond film, Octopussy, starring Roger Moore, was released. At the box office, this was known as the Battle of the Bonds. Octopussy would win, grossing around $187.7 million. But Never Say Never Again was no flop, and made a respectable $160 million. So, how is Never Say Never Again? Well, it's okay. I mean, I would say it feels like 80% of a Bond film. The score feels a little different. It doesn't have the gun barrel opening or a flashy music intro, but you still have MI6 along with the characters M, Moneypenny, and Q, who's also referred to as Algernon for some reason.
Now, while you would think this would be the end of things, it wasn't. McClory and Eon would continue to duke it out for decades. Only now it was over the ownership of the criminal organization in the film, Spectre. Because while Spectre in the Bond world for film was brought into this in 1962's Dr. No, its origins are actually in the 1961 Thunderball novel. So it turned into a who owns Spectre? Is it McClory? Is it Eon? And who owns the villain Blofeld? But that's just a complicated story for another day. Well, everybody, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will be back soon. Thanks.
Potato.